When Any Given Sunday came out, it was a big deal.
What is Any Given Sunday?
It's the one where
It's like Cuba Gooding Jr. and
he's the coach.
Show Me the Money?
No.
That's Jerry Maguire.
That's why I question myself. Is Cuba Gooding Jr. and Jerry Maguire?
Are they portraying an NFL team? What are they portraying?
I don't.
Oh, he's a coach.
Yeah, he's the coach.
Okay.
It's
a great clip.
It's the game of inches. It's the game of inches speech.
And you got to be willing to fight and claw. It's a great push week video. It's an amazing.
Give it all you got,
video.
Brock. That one.
Yeah. It would be played.
We're devolving. We're devolving.
But during Scarface, he shares this
Brock.
quote.
You're in the end zone.
Is that our next movie? Is that Facing the Giants?
We can't do Facing the Giants.
Or is that a Green Giant? Welcome to The Cover, where three Hoosier friends judge books by their covers and movies by their trailers.
That's right. I'm Brett, here with my fellow Indiana natives, Remington and Marcus, ready to dive into the stories that keep us up all night and occasionally put us to sleep.
Whether you're a bookworm, movie buff, or just here for the witty banter, we've got you covered.
Each week, we'll dissect a different book or movie, sharing fun facts, hot takes, and moments that make Marcus cry. Spoiler alert, we're not experts, but we're definitely opinionated.
From literary masterpieces to blockbuster flops, nothing is safe from our snarky reviews and wild tangents. Who knew Hoosiers could be this entertaining?
So grab your popcorn and reading glasses because we're about to embark on a hilarious journey through the pages and screens that shape our lives. Or at least our weekends.
You're listening to The Cover. Let's get the show on the road before one of our kids wakes up.
All right, boys. What's new, Marcus?
Dude, I'll tell you what. We went on a date night a week and a half ago.
Oh, okay.
Saw Complete Unknown. If that freaking movie doesn't win Best Picture, and if Chalamet doesn't get Best Actor,
This is the Bob
something
Dylan?
is wrong.
Bob Dylan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible.
I really want to see it.
We decided very last minute to go, and we were at Flicks, and we're sitting. I do not ever sit in the front row at Flicks.
Is that where the couches are?
No, there's no couches. I was laying down basically in a chair, like looking straight up. But I will tell you this. I was so invested. I'm not even a big Bob Dylan fan.
Yeah.
But I was so invested in this movie that like the waiter came up to deliver things a couple of times and he had to like tap me on the shoulder. Like
I thought you were gonna say, and I totally gave him a Heisman stiff arm because he was in the way.
No, I mean I didn't even notice. Like I was just that invested. I've been like listening to Dylan music for the last 2 weeks.
Dude,
It's
I
crazy.
had to watch American Sniper from not only the front row but all the way to the right side.
Yeah.
My neck was so creaked by the end of that.
My favorite front row story was we did the exact same thing with Greatest Showman. Mm-hmm. We did the exact same thing with Greatest Showman. So we just went last minute because my parents decided that they were going to keep the kids, and came home, and so we're sitting there at Greatest Showman, and we are in front with a bunch of teenage girls. Okay. And when Zac Efron, who's right in front of your face, looks and goes, "You know I want you," these girls lost it. Like completely lost it.
Did they release? So you saw it like when it first came out?
Yes.
So did these girls already know the songs?
No.
Okay, so they just lost it because of...
That's a good question.
I mean, he just looks at the camera, like the way that it's set up. He's looking right at you.
They lost it like how?
Like
Scream like Beatles?
Yeah, like one girl like fell out of her chair. It was ridiculous.
Have you seen the videos of the girls seeing the Beatles for the first time and fainting?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
That's wild.
But it's been said that they proved...
It has been said.
I don't, is that one of your little rap battle songs?
Yep. Okay, keep going.
So... It's been said
battle song
that who's the boy band that made it big with no, the newest one, past our time. Harry Styles.
Got it. The not Jonas Brothers.
Marcus, you not know what I'm talking about?
Nope. Producer Nate's working on
I know
tech
who
stuff,
Harry
so he can't
Styles
look up anything.
is.
This is the most embarrassing mind blank.
They made it big on Britain's Got Talent, I believe. And,
they got it all put together.
Yeah.
If you guys tell me the name of it, I'll know
Hey
who
Siri,
they are.
what band is Harry Styles in? This is the greatest podcast. One Direction.
One Direction.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, I know who that
embarrassing.
is.
Nate's
So this next
for us.
fact is going to blow your mind. One Direction, it has been said, has a larger fandom than the Beatles, which seem to be untouchable.
It's because of the international ability of social
can't be
media and
possible.
all
That's,
that.
I mean, it seemed to be untouchable, even past Michael Jackson, Elvis. The Beatles hit it the biggest. Taylor Swift is probably...
Your reach today is so much bigger than your reach could have been back then. Now the amount of competition you had was so much less back then, but like the reach.
It was also like a stat, like the girls scream louder, more fainting per capita. I don't know. I can't remember what it was. But
Yeah, I mean, that stat blew my mind.
By the way-
Anyway, seriously,
Yeah.
go see this movie. I'd recommend
you
it.
weren't
in
a
theaters.
previous
It was
Timothy
so good.
fan, right? I didn't think you liked him.
He was great in Wonka.
He
was awesome.
He's
in Wonka.
awesome in Wonka. He's really good in Dune.
Have you guys seen Beautiful Boy?
I haven't seen that.
Beautiful Boy is cover worthy. It is a great book. One of my favorite reads of the last 10 years.
Rem, I have
Is Beautiful
loved.
Boy? Is that was Steve Carell?
Yeah, well, it's the book. Yeah, the movie is with Steve Carell. The book is about the son's addiction to meth, but it's really about the father's addiction to trying to cure his son.
Is that Carell and Chalamet?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Is the name of the movie Beautiful Boy
Yes.
as well?
Yes.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I. Is it kind of slow?
Oh yeah.
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 I think that I started to watch it really late one night and I fell asleep.
That was one of those purchases where it was just at the front of Barnes and Noble, and it was a featured book. It wasn't even a bestseller or anything. It was just like, hey, you should read this. And I'm like, all right.
I have to ask because I've loved those shoes ever since you got them. The white shoes.
Yeah.
When did you get the huge black stain on it?
Dude, and the thing is,
I saw
and
it
I'm pretty
every
sure
time
I've
seen
tried
them,
to
they're
wash this
clean.
out.
They're clean every time.
yeah,
and I'm just,
dude, when I added the fourth kid, it's just all bets are off on stains.
I wear so much white for having 5 kids. I wear so
Yeah,
much
the
white.
white couches were not.
I'm
a good
not
investment.
allowed to wear white.
Yeah, it's
not happening.
unbelievable.
Not happening. Well, I'm your host, Brett Wiggins. As always, to my left is
Marcus Mangus.
that's right, and sitting to my right is Sir
Remington Ramsey.
Ram. What are we covering, man?
And then one night on stage, just like that, it happened. The power of expression was revealed to me in a way it never had before. I wasn't even searching for it. That's the beauty of these things. You're not looking for it. I'm opening my mouth and I'm understanding somehow that I can speak. Words are coming out, and they're the words of Strindberg, but I'm saying them as though they're mine. The world is mine, and my feelings are mine, and they're going beyond the South Bronx. I left the familiar. I became part of something larger. I found that there was more to me, a feeling that I belonged to a whole world and not just one place. I'm thinking to myself, what is this? It feels as though I'm lifting off the ground. I thought, yes, this is it. It's right there, and I can reach out and touch it. This is out there, and this is what I know is possible. In that moment, I didn't have to worry after that. I eat, I don't eat. I make money, I don't make money. I'm famous, I'm not famous. It didn't even mean anything anymore. A door was opening, not to a career, not to success or fortune, but to the living spirit of energy. I had been given this insight into myself, and there was nothing else I could do but say, I want to do this forever. This is Al Pacino's memoir, Sonny Boy.
Now, that's actually an excerpt from the book that they used as the sleeve, I think, right? Because
Yeah.
I think that's how I think that was from the Indian in the Bronx, or Indian Wants the Bronx.
So you're saying I should have read the inside cover?
Well, on
After
the
all
back,
that-
though, I mean, if you're going to judge a book by the cover, though, good
That's
cover.
a great.
Did I say Strindberg wrong? Or Strindberg? Words of Strindberg? Do we know who he's talking about there?
No.
Cool.
But
Because you
that-
didn't even know what One Direction was
but
5
that's-
minutes ago.
I would be much more likely to know who Strindberg is.
Gosh
I'd
dang
have
it,
to see
guys.
the
Just
name.
reading the first paragraph of this inside, we should have done this instead.
Well, the good thing is we
got a long
time.
podcast.
We got time, man. This is the long form. But that was a great excerpt
It's a good excerpt.
about why.
I mean, you skipped right
when-
to quotes. It was
when-
good. It's
Yeah, we
great.
got quotes out
But
of
it is
way.
the moment that he was like, "This is what I'm doing."
37 episodes in or whatever. He's figuring it out.
So the first question is always, what'd you know going into it? But I'm curious just in general, like Pacino.
Mm-hmm.
What were your guys', because I feel like after talking to you guys in passing, I'm the biggest Pacino fan here.
That's what I wrote down. Honestly, I get Pacino and De Niro mixed up constantly, and now
Which is easy to do.
it's sure. But now that I know more about
I mean-
Pacino, I'm like, they're really not the same guy. But
They're not.
I knew Scarface. and I probably have seen but not been sure it's him in anything.
Oh no, you've.
But I've
Really?
seen tons with him in it, but just didn't like. Yeah. I didn't even. I've seen Dick Tracy 100 times. I didn't know he was in Dick Tracy. There's a couple of movies he mentioned. Now there's a couple of movies he mentioned that I've been given to watch.
Is this like the
people.
Real Dick Tracy or what you thought was Dick Tracy? Because I feel like last podcast you said something like
I was thinking Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah,
but
that was on the show.
But he was.
Oh, I don't know if it was on the show or if it was after show.
Well, we were talking about.
Yeah, he's Big Boy Caprice.
Yes.
On Dick Tracy.
But
1990.
He's got the weird face in that one.
What's crazy
right?
is I can't recall that movie. Like I'm sure I've seen it, but he's been in way more epic roles. But when you go to IMDb, that's one of his top 4.
Isn't it because that character itself is pretty memorable?
Yeah, but I mean, think about this. Scarface is not.
I've never seen
Scarface is not in his top 4.
Have you guys seen?
And when you think of Al Pacino, you think of Scarface.
Is Irishman on there?
Nope.
Have you seen Deer Hunter or Carlito's Way?
Yes.
Carlito's Way.
I've been told to watch both of those many times and haven't watched.
Carlito's Way is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a
that's
different
a
role.
Heigl.
Different
that's a
role
Heigl
for
movie. Told me
him.
to watch.
Serpico, Dog Day Afternoon.
I haven't seen Dog Day Afternoon either. So
Godfather is obviously
I've got things to do.
what people think of.
Devil's Advocate.
Devil's Advocate was a
Any
wild
Given
ride.
Sunday.
Yep.
Marcus, what was your
Matthew
Pacino
McConaughey.
take before reading the book?
Ocean's 13, by the way.
Fantastic actor. I've always thought that he was just outstanding. It's one of those that I've definitely got a few actors where if I see that they're in it, I know that I'm at least probably going to get a good performance out of them.
Right.
And so whether or not the script is good or the screenwriting is good or the directing
Kinda
or whatever.
Like Denzel.
I always feel like
there's definitely like
I'm
a
going to
list.
get a good performance out of them.
Like the guy I'm about to name is not my favorite actor. He's up there. He's probably not my favorite actor, or maybe he is. But every time there's something that comes across my screen and he's in it, I'm like, oh, I'm watching this movie now. Matt Damon.
Yeah.
I love everything he's in because it's not only I know they're going to be good acting in it, but they also have a knack for not picking stinkers. And I know if
That's
I'm watching
part of the battle,
it,
for
Matt
sure.
Damon is picking a good movie. Like if he likes it, then I should like it.
Yeah.
It's just how I think about it.
Dude, later career Ben Affleck is kind of like that too. He had some stinkers for sure.
Oh, Daredevil.
Like that's what I'm saying. He had some stinkers, but man, he had the run with like Argo and The Accountant and Gone Girl and many of those that were just.
What's he doing now?
it.
He's like directing, or he's bringing back.
He directs
something.
He directs a lot. Yeah. He remember him in Boiler Room?
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Say you don't like my necktie.
Love that.
I mean, Good Will Hunting, I still think about, and that was their first one.
Those are my treat. Those are my
crazy.
keys.
How
drive
did
a
your
Ferrari.
Rem? You I would agree. You're the biggest Pacino fan, knowledgeable person in the room. Did before and after the book, did anything change that you were like, I'm glad that changed, or did anything change about your
my perception of it?
Yeah.
So I can have a Pacino in real life and a Pacino on script. I think he's that good of an actor that I can still get lost in his characters.
Mm-hmm.
But the memoir definitely changed my opinion about Pacino the man. Like I had no idea that the dude was basically living paycheck to paycheck.
Crazy.
Like super. For someone who played the roles, the most memorable roles are where he's blowing everybody up and he's a gangbanger.
Yeah.
For someone to have such a soft-spoken, totally opposite upbringing and being shocked by all this in the real world, it just blew my mind.
Yeah.
That's every single chapter. And Brett and you listened to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you made a mistake reading it.
I did both.
Oh, you did? So when you listened to it, it was like way better. So here's my question, because he reads it like there's no way he was reading exactly what he wrote.
He reads it.
Because when he tells stories,
he reads it very slow. He laughs as he's reading it. It's very conversational, but he writes very conversational.
he's not a very good writer.
He's a pretty bad writer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The book, when you're reading it, it's like,
This is for sure a listen. It is a much better listen.
It's a great listen.
in a 1.7.
I'm better at taking notes and things if I'm better at paying attention when I read it.
Yeah.
So
you're saying he definitely wrote this himself?
Yeah, he didn't have a. I mean, he might have had a.
He didn't have.
He
a
must have had
ghostwriter
the
for
worst
this.
ghostwriter.
He didn't have a ghostwriter for
if
this
he
one.
did.
No.
It was
Why
cool.
wouldn't you, dude? Sit down for a month,
Dude,
and just let
he
this guy
did
record
the
your
book
thoughts.
because he needed the money. I bet.
So he can't afford the ghostwriter.
No, dude. I don't know.
Dude, I'll start a GoFundMe. Like if Al Pacino's like, I just need a GoFundMe for me. I'd be like, all right, you've entertained me enough.
That's so funny.
30-second synopsis. Before we get to a 30-second synopsis,
Tell me these guys aren't living on residuals.
He mentions that at one point about the Godfather.
That, hey, no, it was Scarface.
The Scarface
if I was living like a normal person, I could live off the royalties of Scarface. But there's another quote that says, once you're rich, you can't go back, or once you get, I got it for later.
Dude,
but
basically, if you make $1 million a year, but you spend $2 million a year, you're the poorest person.
So Barry Bonds is famous for a lot of things. One of the things he's famous for is during the baseball strike, he applied for welfare, and everybody's like, "You make five." He's like, "You make $5 million a year. You have a $5 million budget."
Yeah.
Like, and I remember just being a kid, being like, "What?" But yeah.
And
exactly
was welfare based on the percentage of his salary?
I don't know all those details.
Because that would be wild.
Yeah, maybe it also was just him.
Can you imagine collecting him $1 million welfare check?
Marcus, what are we drinking to commemorate Al tonight?
This is called Little Italy, I believe.
Oh, cool.
Little Italy.
Yeah, Little Italy. That felt right.
This is one of my favorite bourbon-induced drinks that you've made. We
The
got
Sicilian parts were crazy.
We got a cherry in here. I heard you say there's a little bit of Sprite. Yeah.
No, that's the next one.
Because I was surprised. It's a little bitter.
Rye. So you got to go with the rye, bourbon or whiskey.
What'd you go with?
Cynar. This is just a bullet rye.
Bullet?
Yeah. Cynar, which I think I have a lifetime supply of Cynar at this point in time.
It's a drop at a time.
I got a hot
It's
take
like
on
a
Bullet.
liqueur that's based out of artichokes.
Ooh.
So that's that bitter, like really bitter.
Now I figured
And
out
then
something to do
a
with them.
sweet vermouth, and then throw a maraschino cherry.
I've drinking
or two in
more vermouth on the nights we record a podcast than all of the other nights of my life combined.
Yeah, really? You never? Yeah, because you just drink it
not a mix.
straight.
I just drink it straight.
Every single
But
time
honestly,
that every time that I make these drinks though that have that in there, you're like, this is
I
awesome.
know.
Exactly.
I know.
Brett is known for doing something one way for years and then being like, what? You can do that?
You know what though? It's a fun way to live. It's a fun way to live.
But also you like have no problem just leaving a half glass of like, beer or not beer anymore, but like a bourbon.
I don't force myself to finish.
But now I think like if you actually have one that tastes this good.
If I worked as hard as Marcus does and it tastes this good, yeah, it's getting finished.
Oh, to make the cocktail?
Yeah, because that's the other thing. It's just the
So
ease
you said you made it with a Bullet rye? I got a hot take on Bullet. Bullet needs to be in a cocktail. You cannot drink it straight. I think like it's trash.
I do like rye a lot though.
I like
Rye's
the
probably my
bullet.
favorite.
I like the bullet rye. I don't like the other, like the normal, the orange.
Maybe
orange
that's
one.
what I've had. It's not good.
I like the bullet rye. It just in terms of something that's not overly pricey. And
Yeah.
If you were gonna get like a old fashioned, what would you get?
if I was, I would totally use a bullet rye.
Bullet rye
for that.
I like a Knob Creek rye. You don't like old fashions, Brett.
Not a big fan.
Just
I don't
too
like the
sweet.
I think
sweet.
Manhattans are better than old fashions.
But you do like the sweet vermouth he's been putting in some of
Dude,
these?
his drink. I think Marcus is just a great mixologist.
Dude,
I
I've been
literally follow recipes.
Yeah, that's right. I'm telling you guys. Did I tell you this Chat GPT hack?
Yes.
You go to your
Yes.
fridge. and
Make
you
me a
look-
drink with these things.
Yeah, man. You just put everything that's in your fridge and all the liquors you have and say, make me the best cocktails.
Just
out of this."
mess with it.
And we've
Just
had a blast.
Throw in the word,
I
like,
do
chicken
ask
breast.
ChatGPT. I do ask ChatGPT every single time, saying, "Hey, we're doing a podcast on this. What drink should we do?" And I've made them a couple of times, but man, this encyclopedia of cocktails book, we have just not had a loser yet.
I know.
And so,
Oh, this
I've
is
just
another one
been-
from it?
Yeah,
It's
I've
really
just
good.
been
Dude,
going
here's the
through
thing.
that.
ChatGPT probably knows that book. You could just say, pick.
Oh, it's way more
from
fun.
this
The
book.
paper, bro.
I literally flip through the book all week and just kind of figure out what we're gonna do and have a couple
This
options.
nightly homework.
Cover cocktails.
Let's get into what's our
Cover
30-second synopsis. Saw Marcus start to count earlier.
I think I have it, but
Okay.
we always get sidetracked.
I'll rock and roll. I'll go for it. Here comes our slam poetry. De Niro, Pacino, tells a story. While mom struggled, dad ran. With his friends in the Bronx, mischief was always the plan. Marty Sheen and Al Pacino roommates? Simply amazing. Off-Broadway? Off-Broadway? Al was always entertaining. Francis Coppola, The Godfather. Michael Corleone was born. Hollywood paid him. The stage fulfilled him. He was all but torn. Alcoholism eventually reared its ugly head. Godfather 2 nearly left him dead. Did you know Scarface was a remake? Did you know initially it just didn't take? Al says now he could live a normal life off of the royalties, mate. 50 million to zero. Oscars and Tonys. Tons of thrills. Al Pacino admits he's working like the rest of us just to pay the bills.
So, but before this book, and this is, we've already done Alan Alda, who definitely talks about this stuff, but did you know there was off-Broadway and off-Broadway?
I knew there was off-Broadway. I did not know there was off-Broadway, and I didn't know it was a specific, like, actual qualified thing.
Yeah.
I thought it was just like you could say it, like anybody could say it's
you got that in there, and I was like, oh, I wonder if he knew that.
I didn't know it was like a specific category.
Does the off so Broadway is literally just in New York. Is off Broadway also only in New York? Like if you're in a Chicago production, like is that off Broadway, or does it have to be considered something else?
I'm not an expert in this, but when they say off Broadway or off Broadway,
they're still talking about New York.
that is a New York
area.
A New York thing.
Is it an area?
That being said,
no, I think it's like a collection of places.
I think that there are traveling groups and things like that, so that they would say, hey, we've got this off Broadway play that we're going to bring to Chicago or whatever. So
Got it. That's just the
but
mecca
you can
of
and
that.
you can work your way up from off to off.
Is
to
Beef
Broadway.
and Boards downtown Indy off Broadway?
I don't think it's anywhere near Broadway.
Is there a Beef and Boards downtown?
No. It's
okay.
96.
Yeah, it's on the northwest side.
96th Street is downtown.
Anything south of 96th
It's actually
Street.
for years was next to a water slide park. So
I know.
Connected to a hotel. Let's calm down about the park.
Some great indoor water slide.
Dog, it was actually in its heyday. It was probably a very impressive.
Dude, I'll tell you the most
situation.
impressive. We were just talking about this today. Is the Carmel Water Park. That thing, like when you grew up in Muncie, and you guys grew up in a small town up north, like you would drive to Indy for like Cheesecake Factory, like an hour and a half away.
Yep.
So like the water park that's in my backyard is amazing. Like in Carmel, it is fantastic. Have you guys been
part
there?
of the Y?
The Monon.
Okay. So Kelsey took Ryan the girls.
Yeah.
They said it was awesome.
It's so cool. It's massive.
Monon
it's really
Center,
cool.
like it's like a Monon Center membership that gets you.
Yeah.
Man, we got a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
Colby's gone to a couple birthday parties there. It's like a
That's
December.
That's terrifying.
Like a December.
That's terrifying. There's hundreds of people. There's no way. Like you could lose your kids so easily. I did actually. I did.
Lost Willow once. Kalahari.
I don't really go. I don't
Oh
go
my
very many
gosh.
places where I don't lose kids, but that's okay, man. I'm just
Marcus
raising them to not be anxious.
we go to the 11 a.m. They go to the 9 a.m. a lot, and regularly Marcus will be coming back
This
inside
is church for
at
everybody.
church, and he'll be like, "Forgot a kid." Like they were.
That's so
It's a regular.
I
Which
told
kid
him
is
to
it
go-
normally? Is it always a different kid, or is it always like?
I feel like
Quinn.
Quinn's
Why
she's
did
a
we all
talker.
say Quinn?
Quinn's kind of like it's
She
kind of like when,
meanders.
and she talks to
How old
adults
is she?
too. Like
Yeah.
she's not.
She's
just,
8.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the best story.
Marcus, 9 words. What do we got?
Little boy loves movies and finds. You okay?
Based on our conversation 30 minutes ago, I didn't know where you were going with that.
Cheezo Peters.
Little boy loves movies
Yep.
and finds purpose in performance.
Fantastic.
We thought we were gonna get canceled for Barbie.
I think
There's
yes,
time.
listen in next week because I think we got
Guys,
something for
Barbie's gonna be epically like we're going to be canceled. We're gonna be canceled by.
I don't know if there's any way I don't get canceled.
I think we gain
following
following from all the right places.
Exactly. We have the followers that are extremely niche.
What made us stop and think? I thought it was cool. He dedicated the book to his grandfather, who's dead. You know, I just when you dedicate the book to, I don't know. I'm sure there are authors that do that to gain some clout with somebody or whatever. And
yeah, it was not a political money. Yeah. It was like a completely heart move.
The whole memoir is definitely a heart move for him. It felt like.
I think especially as he talks about his family.
Yes. But when you read it, it's like a man who's like, the way he's talking makes you feel like a man who's on his deathbed, like really trying to make sense of it all. It was kind of sad, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's staring down the barrel. He thinks it's the end. He's got a really young kid.
Yeah,
very young, and so I mean, part of the reason that I like what we're doing here is because there's going to be some of us that lives on at some point. Well, if you're thinking you're 80 or whatever,
you still got time, bro.
You're looking at that, and your daughter or son or is 2. Well, there's
talk about the worst gold digger of all time. If this dude's truly paycheck to paycheck, like you marry Al Pacino because you're thinking, hey, Scarface money.
Maybe that's why he wrote the book.
To leave something behind to his kid?
For the kid that's not.
Now listen, I don't know, like what we've been talking about this a lot, all podcasts so far. Mm-hmm. What I mean is he really? When you're broke, but you have assets and you have access and you have,
I don't know, like
you could blink and make money.
He's rented a house in LA for 20 years. So he never bought a house, it sounds like.
Right.
But I don't know about the assets. Here's the deal. He's living paycheck to paycheck, but he's living a pretty awesome life spending. Right. It sounds like at some points he was spending hundreds of thousands of dollars.
He can get work whenever he wants to.
Which tells you that this being poor is like a mindset to this guy.
It definitely is
like
a mindset.
Mental.
I almost felt like it said Diane Keaton went into his accountant and was like, dude, you got to help this guy. He does not know what to do. It was a sense of like feeling bad for him. Like he's just accepting this is who I am.
Yeah.
And
she was his partner on Godfather.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they got really close.
Yeah.
Really, really close.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah. Well, I guess we'll get there, and maybe we can, but
yeah.
I got very frustrated with just the way that he approached relationships in general. So he was super thankful for his grandpa, his grandma, his mom would literally say they saved my life, right? But then is frankly just like so selfish that he can't ever get married. Most of these people that we've talked about or we've read their books, they really change as a person once they have kids. And there was none of that from him. He barely talks about his kids.
That's true.
I just felt like I was reading the memoir of somebody who's like super selfish, and it was a little disappointing.
Yeah. Well, and you said you didn't, you said it was a boring book.
It's boring because he's not a very good writer.
Right.
Yeah.
For me, like
Some of the stories are fun, and I really liked reading about the different movies, especially.
I think you probably you feel about that book the way I felt about Alan Alda's book.
Yeah, but Alan Alda can write.
Okay. But like I'm just saying, like you looked at it through the lens of I'm a big fan, and I like Alan Alda too. You're like a fanboy. And that's how I'm about Pacino, because like
Tom Cruise.
Or Tom Cruise.
Yeah. Gosh.
You say that like it's Tom
Cruise is viewed as a tool by a lot of people.
That's because he jumped on Oprah's couch and professed his love to someone.
I'm in love. Yeah, but anyway, he's a fantastic.
I don't know this story. What are you talking about?
It's like Clinton. What is Clinton known for? What's Clinton?
I have never
had sexual relations. That's what he's known for.
With that woman.
It's not just our
generation. I don't even know what
you're
talking about.
He was president for 8 years, and that's all we remember.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
So Tom Cruise was on Oprah, and he was head over heels in love with Katie Holmes, and he's known for this crazy interview, just like Brett's Nipplegate. If you search it, you'll find. What episode was Nipplegate, by the way?
Social Network.
Social Network.
Yeah.
That show is off the rails. That show is off the rails. Guess what I found on Kelsey's phone, by the way? Hashtag Nipplegate.
She's like, you go in the search bar. Hey, can I use your phone real quick?
Yeah. Oh, you listen to the cover, don't you? So anyway, he does a couple. And by the way, he's also at the top. I believe with like Scientology.
I don't have a problem with Tom Cruise with his movies. Like I think that he. I think he's the epitome of action movie guy. I know he.
Oh yeah,
he knows how to make an entertaining movie.
He does all his own stuff.
He's a good actor. He's a professional actor. I heard a story about what's that movie he did where he has to keep coming back over and over and over and over again?
Oh, Vanilla Sky?
No.
Or, yeah, that one.
I can't remember, but he basically like respawns.
Yeah,
and like,
it is Vanilla Sky, isn't it?
No, it's not Vanilla Sky.
Does Vanilla Sky have the albino guy in it?
It's a pretty new movie with Mary Poppins. What's her name?
Oh yeah. And at the end, she's like, "I didn't know you go through that door."
Yeah.
Jim's wife.
Yeah, she was. Yes, exactly.
Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow. She was telling a story about.
See that movie.
She was telling.
I was thinking of Vanilla Sky. I was right. Yeah. He responds in that movie too.
Yeah, a little bit, but not like this one.
A little bit.
Not like.
Is Vanilla Sky the one with the albino guy in it?
I don't know.
Is it an old movie? Really old movie?
It's pretty
I think
old.
so. Yeah. Like early
I remember
2000s.
seeing a DVD cover.
I haven't seen Vanilla Sky in a long
that's
time.
actually a good movie.
But Edge of Tomorrow, she was saying that they're like hanging off of like in these harnesses and things, and they just have to keep redoing it, and it's super hot outside, and she's got this terrible attitude and looks over at him, and he's like, it's a challenge, but like has this
so he's
really
just got a good
positive attitude because he was like, if I start losing it, everybody loses it.
Do you think he's really bought? So the whole Scientology thing, Liam.
Oh, he's all in.
He's all in on that. But do you think the reason is because it's basically a multi-level marketing? It's like a pyramid scheme where basically he stands to gain the most by being all in. Because Leah Remini, is that her name?
Yeah.
From King of Queens. She did the documentary on Scientology.
Yep.
But she's still speaking out against it. I've seen like recent reels about it, and she'll basically be like, guys, watch closely when he does interviews. He has a whole team who works for free for this guy and just does everything he wants because he's got them brainwashed in the Scientology thing. But then he's great at acting in real life too because you have no idea.
Did she grow up in it, or she said she grew up in it? She really experienced it. I think the experience I've heard from the children's perspective is the worst part.
She should write a book. It would be very similar to Educated.
I like her. Dude, I loved her in King of Queens. That was my aunt's show.
Oh, really?
Up. Like that's the show we would just throw on.
Yeah, man.
Awesome show. What's Paul Blart's name? Kevin
James.
Kevin James.
He's awesome.
He's got some good clean bits out there.
I loved hearing Pacino talk about his friends and his upbringing because
that was my favorite part of the book.
He lived my life, but mine was in Elkhart and not in the Bronx. 100%.
You guys know who the hero of his life was? You named him.
Martin Sheen.
Yeah.
Martin
Did not know that at all.
The hero of the book.
Yeah, totally.
That dude kept coming into his life, and I don't even know if he meant to write it this way, but Martin Sheen played a pivotal role 2 or 3 different times in his life and was just a freaking rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was and find out he was paying, the studio wasn't paying for him to be the understudy. He was just paying.
Yeah. So tell the story.
So Martin Sheen kind of they kind of, I don't want to say there's a fork in the road, but they're both around the same caliber of actor, and then Martin Sheen gets picked up and starts blowing up a little bit. Stage. And then he knows Al is struggling, so he's like, "Hey, I want to pick you to be my understudy for the show." Mm-hmm. He won't take it seriously at all. And
because he doesn't see it because of his ego. Yes. He doesn't see himself as an understudy, but he needed the money.
And then all of a sudden it comes up where he needs to step up.
Yeah, Martin Sheen doesn't have a voice.
Yeah, and he can't. He just completely leaves, doesn't come back, and then finds out. I don't know if he found out right away or years later that Sheen was actually paying for him.
Right, he wasn't even an understudy. He was actually understudy 2 or something like that.
Yeah, he wasn't technically the understudy.
But Martin Sheen was paying him out of his pocket because he cared about him because they had roomed together when they first got to New York. Yep. Like, just what a cool guy. And what's interesting is, like, who would you say is actually more famous, Martin Sheen or Al Pacino?
Al Pacino.
Yeah, I would say that too. Even though,
I mean, Martin Sheen is very famous, but I feel like you hear a lot of good things about Martin Sheen.
Yeah,
a lot of Martin
and
Sheen's successes.
They mentioned that like he has a long-term marriage, like just a more stable person. It seems.
I think
like.
that's just TV versus movies, though. Too like Martin Sheen really went the TV route eventually with West Wing.
Eventually,
And-
but he was known for.
He's a lot of good movies.
I mean, yeah, Platoon. I mean, that guy, he was massive.
Yeah, and obviously was a great stage actor too.
Technically,
which I don't know anything about.
Technically, Marty Estevez, correct?
Emilio
Estevez is his son.
Yeah.
Right, but was his actual last name that, and he made it Sheen to be more
No,
relatable?
Yes,
he's never went Sheen. It's always Emilio Estevez, and then
Martin Sheen's real last name is Estevez, right?
Yeah. Which is interesting because Charlie.
They
the
talk
Sheen
about
route,
that
Charlie
in the
Sheen.
book too, where he tells him like, "Hey, my real name is Estevez."
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Wild time.
It is about the name though, because like Pacino is such a strong name. Like you make one epic role as Al Pacino.
Yeah,
and now like people know that name. Whereas Martin Sheen, I don't know, just doesn't have the weight. Am I off there?
No.
Well, I think that he changed his name to Martin Sheen from Estevez, just because everything is so like racially driven,
Especially during that time.
Yeah, especially right. And then,
although Pacino is pretty Italian.
Yeah,
it's very Italian.
But Pacino, remember the acting school he was at? He was supposed to be on this poster or this ad promoting the school, and at the last minute they switched to some just white American girl, and I think I appreciated his self-awareness. I was still sad for him, but he's like, I get it. He was like, I totally understand. He didn't raise a fit or anything like that. He's like, that's what the school had to do. Is what they.
I don't think he cares about like what people think about him.
I mean,
at all.
The way he wrote the book would confirm that.
Yeah,
because like,
I think it came clear.
I think that he cares about the art.
Yeah, the art, which I would not have guessed that at all before reading.
That's why I said
book.
Find purpose through performance.
Yeah,
like I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. Like he loses himself in this art or in these artistic pieces, and sees it everywhere. He's like, hey, if I think that I can bring something to that character, then I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do everything I can to do that. He almost gets fired off of The Godfather because of the way that he's playing the character, but he's doing it on purpose. Right.
Ooh.
So they're like upset with them.
So we got to talk about this.
They're upset with him from the way that he's doing it at the beginning.
So
and he's saying, no, I thought that we're supposed to start that way because this is where we're going.
Well, they literally changed this.
The arc of the character was different because he was on pace with the director, but even the director didn't understand what he was doing.
The director didn't know either.
Yeah.
He literally changed the what they were going to shoot the following day because he's like, I need to have something for the studio to show them what he's working toward. And could you imagine being an actor and filming out of order? Would it be that hard? Am I making too big of a deal of that, or
no? Because I think you're just in that scene and you're in that character. So think about it like if you're a character and you have to film this scene, no matter where you're at in the movie, you're not the character. So you have to embody everything that you know to be true about this guy to take over that scene. So I don't think it does matter to them, honestly. Now, for the filmography, for the whole set, for the whole cast, some directors will do certain pivotal scenes after the cast has really gotten to know each other and emotional, so that the scene is emotional. But I think for great actors, I don't think it matters. This is what's going on.
It's part of their training too. You know, I mean, they know where they're at, what they're trying to get to, where that character's at, and that. I mean, you want to think. I think I've said this on the podcast before, but. It's crazy when you think about filming scenes out of order. I know at least for Rocky, I don't know about every fight scene,
but makeup,
they literally did like round 15 first, and then worked their way backwards
sweating the makeup
because they're taking the makeup off.
Right.
You know, like I can't imagine that.
Where would you find that fact? Were they interviewing?
I think
Sylvester
it was
Stallone?
a reel or something that I saw. I don't know.
Did you get the feeling like he's just a grandpa? I just kept thinking like this dude's just a grandpa.
Pacino?
Yeah, like he's the kind of guy that would write chicken noodle soup recipe for his Facebook status because he's trying to Google it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Now that you say that, I get it.
When he's writing, like he just doesn't. There's certain things that he wrote about even later in his life where it's like that's literally what my grandpa would say. But yet he plays these epic roles where he's definitely in the know. That's what I mean. It's pretty interesting. I was definitely not expecting this when I picked up Sonny Boy.
You said you wanted to get into
Godfather.
What were you expecting?
I was expecting this dude who lived the high life. I'm never knowing what to expect for the memoirs. What I'm always hoping for is behind the scenes stories.
Yeah, which this definitely delivered on that.
It had that.
Yeah.
It had stories. I wish it would go deeper into the movies that I loved. It did a little bit. Godfather definitely did, and we're gonna get to that here in a second.
It's momentous for him, yeah.
But like, so John, I mean, just some of my favorite interviews are when actors are talking about what other actors say and do behind the scenes after they've already made it, because you don't think of these people as real people.
Yep.
Once you get A-list celebrity status, you're just not a real person. But to be honest, they all are. So like Johnny Depp was on, I think it was Johnny Depp, and he was talking about working with Pacino. It was on Letterman or something like that. And he goes, this is just a funny story about Pacino. I was expecting more stuff like this, but he goes, I was working with Pacino, and he in between scenes of a pretty like epic movie, he goes, hey, John, a skeleton goes into a bar and orders a beer and a mop.
That's the joke.
That's the joke. These are the kind of jokes that Pacino's telling in the in between takes of like epic movies that make a movie to tears. You know what I mean? So like that's the kind of stuff that I was expecting.
So the studio, basically, it's Coppola. Is that
Francis Ford Coppola?
For a minute, I was like, "Is this
you'll hear Coppola or Coppola?
Who
For
did
Godfather?
Who did
Yeah.
Casablanca?
The director?
Yeah, was it like a Coppola-esque name?
It was Michael Curtiz.
Oh, never mind. Who? I feel like.
Are you asking what else Coppola did?
Anyway,
That's It's a Wonderful Life is Capra.
Oh,
there you go.
There we go. Well, anyway,
Man.
Coppola.
I didn't look that one up.
Francis
Ford Coppola.
Nice. He calls Pacino to meet him while he's out to dinner with his family, and just kids running around, probably cutting his steak, and he's like, "You're not cutting it, dude. You got to step it up."
I loved that. I loved
cool.
that part.
But like the backstory on that is he wanted Pacino.
Which the quote from Pacino is, "There's nothing like when a director wants you."
Yes. It was
He
the only
fought
thing that
for
mattered.
it.
It was the only thing that mattered.
Coppola was going to get backed into a corner by the studio.
So
essentially.
Pacino's comfortable. He finally makes it after he honestly, that was a turning point when Martin Sheen said, understudy me. He's drinking a lot. He's not learning any lines. He gets called up and he runs away and goes missing. He's like, I'm just not going to show up.
Yep.
That was a turning. I think that was rock bottom for Pacino in terms of acting. He's like, okay, I got to take this seriously now. So then, if you remember right, if at least if I remember right, in the book, it starts to turn. So now he's actually getting roles. He's making money.
He had one good movie before Godfather.
Yeah, but it was a small role.
No, who's the lead?
Then it was a small movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
What was it? Septico?
No.
Oh, Serpico was.
No,
Serpico
it
was
not
later?
Serpico.
Okay.
I'll look for it.
Yeah, while you're looking that up, but he was not looking for movies. He was comfortable being a stage actor. And he talks about the beginning of stage acting, literally going to restaurants in the Bronx or like in New York and just acting and then taking his hat off for tips. That's where he started. It wasn't like off Broadway.
Yep.
It was in a Yats while people are eating their Cajun Creole.
And he's reading Shakespeare.
And hopefully,
or not reading, reciting.
Hopefully you remembered to bring a hat for acting today. Otherwise, you're not getting paid. So anyway, he gets up. He's making money now, and he's on Broadway or just off Broadway, and then all of a sudden makes Broadway, and he's making a name for himself. So Francis Ford Coppola wants him, and he wants him for this script that everyone's talking about.
And I didn't realize Godfather was a book that was very well known.
Correct.
Beforehand, I had no idea
Yeah,
that was the case.
epic book.
Yep.
And so he's like, I want you for Michael Corleone. And so he starts acting, and he films that. So what you were talking about, filming out of order, they filmed the scene that defines Michael Corleone's character, and he's playing it cool. And they're like, you're not supposed to play it that way, play it a different way. But like when he met with the director, they're like, this guy is supposed to be straight-laced until he murders this cop. And so he's doing that, and nobody likes him, and they're all trying to get him off the film. and then that scene happens. That point of his life
Restaurant
happens. He
scene,
goes,
yep.
yeah. And then he's like, dude, just
because they started off filming the
wedding. He goes, stay with me. We're gonna.
You can totally see that he misses jumping in the car, though. By the way,
when you watch it, did you watch it?
Yeah,
After reading.
Oh, I did too.
Well,
you watched that scene?
Yes, I watched the whole movie.
I watched the movie too.
I watched the whole movie
Oh my gosh!
on the plane last week. He completely, you could tell he's like he probably jumps and doesn't even hit the back of the car.
So, but why are you
Panic
sharing
in
that? Why
Needle
does that
Park.
matter?
Because he twists his ankle and they have to stop filming him for a couple weeks. I
Correct,
think.
which we talked about in the last episode with Matrix.
Yep.
How like injuries are
Yes.
scary for actors because you'll just get replaced if
Yep.
you're not cutting it. And so what's crazy is he was not cutting it and twisted his ankle. Should have just been axed completely. But again, if you watch, so you just watched it.
Yep.
He nails the whole role.
Yep.
The entire role. He's like, I love the part where he's sitting at the wedding and he's telling his new bride, like, he's talking about how his father gets things done. And she
Yep.
goes, oh, how did he get that done? And he goes, what's the
Made him an offer
What's
he
the
can't
brute's name?
refuse.
No, what's the brute's name? He goes, anyway, brute something.
Yep. He's like he told him
Held
talking about
him
the-
down and held a gun to his mouth.
your brains are gonna be on the floor,
yeah,
or
yeah,
this
yeah,
is
yeah.
whatever.
And up to that point, like, she's just like, oh, your family's really nice. And so, but like the entire first part of the movie, he's straight-laced Michael. I'm not my family.
That's
I'm
what
not
I
that guy.
appreciate
Until
about
the
Godfather
hospital.
so much.
Until the hospital, right? Where he-
Hospital, he turns it on. You could see his
Yep.
leadership come out for sure.
But he talks about this in the book, right? He's like, I knew that was the shift, and so they had been filming all this wedding stuff and the stuff that happened beforehand, and he's trying to play boring, basically.
What I loved about Godfather, and
College
we have to do it. We have to do it.
We're
What
for
I-
sure gonna
What
do
I
it.
loved about it was it's slow and it doesn't care that it's slow. It doesn't
Oh,
care
yeah.
that you think that it's slow.
Yeah.
It's like we have a mission here. We're gonna get you there, but you just sit
the
back.
wedding scene is like a half hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's long.
But it shows you Sonny. It
Yeah.
shows you him. It's amazing. It's
Yeah.
great. It shows you little things, and there's little tiny conversations that come back into play later for
Kelsey
sure.
was in, she took film classes because she was a marketing major and she had like a minor in film. Something like that. I probably got that wrong. So, but
Nah,
she
we'll just
talks
go with
about
it.
how like the Godfather is like the status quo for filming in so many different categories. Like
Yeah.
every film school uses it to
Well,
dissect
so-
it. Like
so Marlon-
mirrors, like the way mirrors are positioned and things.
Marlon Brando is at the top of his game at this point.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember reading about the lunch him and Marlon Brando had?
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the book.
So I think they're in the hospital. When
Yeah,
they have.
stealing. You're
So it's-
stealing. You're
It's
stealing
the
a
scene,
hidden
it's the
gem.
scene where
So-
he's protecting his dad.
Yeah, but they talk about, I think Coppola wants Brando to spend some time with him, and he's like, hey, pour into Al a little bit. And Marcus, what happens
So
during this lunch?
couple-
all,
things.
all that happens is he's like, I'm having this lunch with Brando.
Yeah.
And he's eating this pasta and the sauce is dripping off of his face and all I can see is this red sauce. So I'm supposed to be learning from him and building a rapport with him and all I can think about is this red sauce that's like dripping from his
Basically
face.
just eating like a pig.
Yeah. So
And he
funny.
just grabs the sheets off of one of the hospital beds and wipes his face
off
with it.
and gets an extra to replace it. So, but what did you take from that? What did you take from that story? I took away two things. Okay, the first thing, it seems like you're struggling.
Yeah.
The first thing is,
I didn't take anything from the story. I
the
put it
first
as a
thing
hidden
is,
gem.
I thought Marlon Brando was super cool to like sit down with this kid who he definitely knew was about to be fired and still took the time for this kid. And he didn't know Pacino was going to become Pacino. He
Sure.
doesn't even know this guy at this
Sure.
point. And so I thought that was cool.
I think you got something here.
And the second thing
Think you got
was,
something here,
I think
Pacino.
this is a perfect example of never meet your heroes, like the phrase "never meet your heroes,"
Yep.
because like Marlon Brando's at this time probably the number one actor.
For sure. He was all of their favorites.
He was everyone's he's Pacino's favorite, and he's sitting there with this like, I mean, the most humanized setting where he's got pasta sauce all over his face, and for him it was like not an awestruck. He's like, oh, these are just real people.
So another funny thing about the wedding scene is he wanted Pacino to say something in Italian, and Pacino's like, I don't know any Italian.
I speak third best
and
Italian.
And then he's like, okay, so you guys are gonna do the waltz. He's like, I don't
catch that.
I don't.
We have to do that.
I don't know how to do the waltz. And he's like, all right, you're gonna get in the car. You guys are gonna drive away. He's like, I don't know how to drive. Like really, like he's really.
It was 3 things, right? Couldn't speak Italian.
Couldn't do the waltz.
Couldn't do the waltz and couldn't drive a car. That's funny, man. And by the way, this is happening in Sicily, where he's from. He's Sicilian.
Well, his family's from. He grew up.
He's
in
a
Queens.
first generation. Yeah, well, he's first generation Queens though. His family was from Sicily. His parents were from Sicily.
Yeah, from Corleone.
But it's just funny because he's going back to home, just like in the movie. Like he's playing this role. I don't know why they were like, this isn't the right kid for it. He's literally playing the role of his life. Goes back, can't do any of the things. So he's basically living this character's life because he can't speak the language. He's trying to figure it all out.
When I watched Godfather, I made a note of every single death, and 2 things I graded it on was how surprised I was and how I graded the death itself.
What? Hold on. Had you seen it before?
Yeah, but you know, when
really.
you watch it for the podcast, you're like really watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what? So did you remember Sonny's death?
Sonny's death was
Because that's got to be the most epic death, right?
That's definitely the most.
That's the most. That's one of the most.
It was like
memorable.
a 9 out of 10, like for like the type of death he experienced. Yeah,
It's got to be one of
100
the most
bullets.
memorable deaths in cinema history. Sonny?
That's probably true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By that time, I wasn't surprised. You could tell somebody had it out
Something's
for him.
gonna happen.
Yeah, something's gonna happen.
But the way it happens, though.
The girl's death,
oh,
though,
no.
the girl's death, it was a surprise until his helper, whoever the guy was that was kind of chaperoning him, was walking away, and then you're like, wait a second, something's up. Too bad.
I know it's you, Fredo.
Too bad.
Spoiler alert.
Too bad.
That's Godfather 2.
He had a quote during this this time that he's describing on The Godfather. He says, "I needed attention and didn't want it at the same time." That's like our kids. That's like, you're right.
He is a kid.
He's a kid. I don't subscribe to the selfish part, but I subscribe to the kid.
But
He's
kids
a kid.
are selfish.
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
what immature is. Immature is selfish.
Yeah.
You tell your kids every single time I tell them and I explain to them like,
It's not about you.
it's not about you and this is why, and you'll actually get what you want if you just do this. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I love you. 10 seconds later, it's mine. 10 seconds later. And that's what it is. You're narcissistic, you know, I think is just thrown as like a buzzword now.
Yeah.
I think it's just selfish people.
Yep.
Just selfish people that never grew up.
All right, resubscribed. He ends Godfather and talks about, obviously this is where he hits it big. There's a lady that stops him on the street, kneels down and kisses his hand and calls him Godfather. So like you go from being unknown to like, oh my gosh, everybody knows me. And then he has this weird stretch. He tries to work with Gene Hackman on a movie, and they just don't connect. There's not synergy there.
Dude, I bet he's awful to work with.
Gene or Pacino?
Pacino.
Oh, really?
Based on the way that he describes, like, based on the way that he talks about all the frustrations that he had with different.
You think it was him the whole time?
Directors? Yeah, I mean, I have this philosophy, like if people that are always frustrated with a job and then they move to another job,
And
or
what's the
or
common
like
denominator?
this happens
Yeah.
with churches, this happens with
Yeah.
other things. I mean, I've literally looked at people before and I'm like, listen, you can go to that other job, but you're still gonna have a problem. And they're like, what? And I'm like, you'll be there. You know, I mean, like that's kind.
That's
Can't
true.
believe
That's
you
fair.
would say that, Marcus. That
he's-
doesn't sound like you at all. Being so
He's-
direct with people.
He's an incredible actor,
And he
incredible
cares about the
performer.
art, to your point
He
earlier.
cares about getting it right.
Like, remember
There's
the
so
story about
many-
him being like, no, we're redoing the scene.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's so many instances like that where he's like, no, this isn't right.
Yep.
And then the director goes back, and at least the way Pacino tells it, he's like, yeah, I guess that's not right, and we've got to make this better, right?
Yep.
Well, he's probably just always right. It doesn't seem like he's a prima donna in any sense of the world. He just.
Do you think that started after he became a star?
No, I
think
no,
it's
I don't
always
think
been?
he's
He's always that way.
obsessive.
He's
Like he
obsessive.
obsesses. He's got zero balance in his life. It's just it's
Well,
all
and it's
like,
all he has.
Who
That's
else did
all he
we
has.
read about? Kubrick. Kubrick had this.
Yeah.
Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah. I guarantee those two probably could never work together. You know,
Producer Nate,
'cause
see if they work together.
You've
This'll be
got to
so funny.
let You've got to let
Pacino and
Kubrick did Fight Club.
Shining. Shining.
Shining.
Also, Rem's favorite movie, 2001: A Space Odyssey.
We were talking about.
I don't know if it's my favorite, but the more I talk about it, it might be.
We were talking about him.
It's coming up in the next episode.
It's coming up in the next episode.
We were talking about
sure.
him getting famous. Dude, the lady that just kidnaps him.
In
she
real life,
just kidnaps
dude,
him.
what a weird story.
I know.
So I mean, there must have been like drunk people involved in this story. Like they must have been drunk.
So my understanding is.
Well, listen, I mean,
he is drunk.
He's drunk all the time.
Let's not tell anyone the story. Don't say anything. Just move on.
Just let him read the book. Hey, you're gonna have to read the book, guys.
I'm kidding. Tell the story.
I mean, he basically gets in this car to get a ride home. I think he's plastered, right? He's drunk, and he's like, where are you going? She's like, I'm kidnapping you, and somehow he talks her out.
This
of
is
it.
before Uber. This is. I think
way before Uber.
He's hitchhiking, or it's like
this is before
he
mobile
thinks
phones.
It's a cab.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she just lets him go after he says, "Don't kidnap me." I mean, that's the story. It was a weird story.
Al Pacino did not work with.
Al Pacino has never worked with Stanley Kubrick. You're right, Marcus. They could never work together.
Exactly.
Especially now.
I've read this book and I get a feel for him as a person. He just seems like that person who is mega talented, who you want to have around, but like you've got to be willing to let him go where it goes.
Well,
like you have to. And that probably makes some of the other actors a little frustrated too.
But then with the Oscars and stuff, he was so afraid to go. He just didn't show up. So then people are saying,
so tell,
he thought he got
that's
snubbed.
That's a really interesting part.
So
that's Serpico. That story is crazy.
So that's a 2-part story. It's the first one he could have won, all the way to like now the last one.
So he basically doesn't go to the Oscars because he's very
for the first
he
one.
doesn't think.
Serpico.
I don't think he just thinks.
No.
Godfather.
He doesn't go for Godfather.
Right.
So he doesn't go, and then there's a story that gets emerged that he thought he should have been considered for Best Actor, not Marlon Brando, when in reality he just was afraid to show up and go. So now there's a vibe about him in Hollywood that he thinks he can show up. Marlon Brando.
He was apparently completely unaware of.
Yes,
because he lives in New York and that's Hollywood.
And hearing him describe Hollywood in his later
I definitely
years,
want to get there.
It makes sense.
Yeah,
right?
well, for sure.
It makes complete sense. But then he goes. Was he at what awards was he at when he talked to Jeff Bridges? Was that another Oscars or was
either
that
BAFTA or the
dude?
No. Jeff Bridges was the Oscars.
Okay, so then he's at an Oscars another year that he decides to go. He is high on volume.
This is the Serpico one.
He's praying he doesn't get his name called, and he asks Jeff Bridges, "Hey man, how long is this awards show gonna take?" And Jeff Bridges goes, 3 hours.
Yeah,
and Al goes, "Oh,
yeah."
Painkillers, vodka, whatever. I mean,
praying he doesn't get the award because he doesn't want to go up on stage.
And not just because he was high, but because I don't think he's okay with that.
He sounded like he wouldn't have been able to. Like he would have been like Bradley Cooper in A Star Is Born.
Star Is Born, great movie by the way.
That's like
I liked that movie.
What do you mean?
Like when he
Bradley
goes
Cooper's
out and
character.
just embarrasses himself during that awards thing, and like
in the movie,
movie, yes, not
in the movie, the character
which has happened. This has happened.
Well, yeah, I think that he's sitting there just freaking out because he doesn't know anything about like how this awards thing even goes.
Dude, it's so
and he
interesting.
doesn't end up winning.
It's so interesting what people choose to put in their memoirs, especially at this age. Like he made a point to talk about the fact that people had it wrong in the press about him dodging the Oscars and why he did it.
Well, it reminds me of Sam Walton. Sam Walton definitely used his
narrative
to tell like, hey, here's the real story.
Yeah.
I believe this. I feel like he's got enough appreciation of what acting is that he would not think he was
above
Marlon Brando. Like I just feel like that he's smart. He's more self-aware than that. I think.
Oh no, I think he thinks he's very good.
I agree with that.
But does he think he's above the Oscars?
No, I don't think he cares.
So what was what did he say there was the reason for Serpico?
this-
He said it was because he was scared of it. He was like, I think he
just doesn't feel feel like
Listen,
he belongs.
He'd be out of
because he's a stage guy. He's a New York guy. He's like that. That's his thing. Like what I wrote down was that the movies paid his bills, but the stage
gave him thrills.
It gave him his life.
No, that's what he said. I was listening.
But it gave him his life. It gave him his life. That's what kept him alive for sure.
All right.
It talks. But where are you going with this? But we're going so far ahead, and we skipped something big that I don't remember about the book because I read so. Pacino was in mid-30s and then had lived several lives. This is on the inside cover, which I should have read. A fixture of avant-garde theater in New York.
Avant-garde.
Cool. Bohemian existence, working odd jobs. What are we drinking? The odd jobs part. The odd jobs. What were his? I can't remember his odd jobs. He said he had a ton of odd jobs while he was also stage acting.
So he was an usher for a moment.
An usher.
He was an usher at Carnegie Hall or something like that.
Yeah.
And
he would
let
fired.
people. Well, he would let people do first come first serve seating.
Yeah.
And all these people started fighting. He started a riot basically. But he would get.
It
fired
sounds
a lot.
like he wasn't very good at most of his jobs.
Was he messy? Because he said don't. He said basically the manager said don't do this again. He's like I did it again, and then he got fired.
Yeah.
Was it because he just literally didn't care about that job?
Yeah.
Dude, this is what Chick-fil-A has done so well. Chick-fil-A has figured out how to tell teens, listen, we are a big brand. If you work with us, you'll get the next job. And that's really all you have to do to keep going. Now, you also have to have good managers, good leadership, and actually do it.
Works for us at Cutco as well. That's my entire recruiting pitch.
Yeah, you say you got Cutco on it.
Yeah.
But it works.
Yeah.
Like the quality.
Changing lives, selling knives.
That's right.
Have you ever gotten a Chick-fil-A person who takes your order and you say thank you and they don't say my pleasure
once
and you just stare at them?
Once. It happened to me once. I was
Did you feel like you totally got gypped from your experience?
Yes, absolutely.
Like fire this kid immediately.
I was just assuming that person was going to be fired.
Well, I will tell you, the two top like teaching their employees how to do the thing best in our area. Chick-fil-A and Crew Car Wash. And
Crew Car Wash.
It's not close. Those two.
Crew Car Wash takes it a step further with salesmanship.
Oh, they're awesome.
Upselling.
And makes
Do you feel like Chick-fil-A
awesome.
upsells?
Yes.
But only by saying it's just because they never assume your order's done. It's what else? What like they just do a really good job of just asking the question. What else? Yeah.
So okay.
Yeah, I might as well get eight pieces chicken nugget.
No. I just jumped to 30. It's immediately 30.
You guys, hey, time out. You guys have our Apple CarPlay, correct?
Yeah.
I do.
There's a Chick-fil-A. So if you have Chick-fil-A app on your phone, it will automatically save any of your favorites or recent orders. You can press the Chick-fil-A app on Apple CarPlay and literally order for drive-through mobile right from your car.
Just a one-click button.
It's amazing, dude.
Patrick Tate wants to sponsor the podcast.
What's up, Tate? Come on through.
The funniest thing about this hot take is that Brett is allergic to chicken.
Dude.
He's never even had Chick-fil-A.
But do you know how much money I've spent on my family and my team?
They
Chick-fil-A?
don't even have a non-chicken option at
Waffle
Chick-fil-A.
fries are amazing. Waffle fries at Chick-fil-A
just loads up on waffle fries and Dr. Pepper.
And by the way, they're
I don't know why it didn't strike me how funny that is.
The knowledge
Sausage,
this guy
egg, and
has
cheese
about
biscuit is
Chick-fil-A,
awesome.
and he's never had chicken.
He probably has more Chick-fil-A points than we do.
I go through the drive-through, and they're like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "I'm here.
I'm just hanging out.
Here. You guys are
hanging
so
out.
great.
My pleasure to be
My
here.
pleasure to be here." Godfather 2. He talks about after that getting offered $1 million for Godfather 2, and he was like, "No, you don't have a script yet." Mm-hmm. That he loves the art aspect. He loves the art aspect to a fault.
Not only that, but it's not only that, but just like pride in your work.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have a script, you're just doing a money grab, and this is gonna suck, and it's gonna make the first one suck. Think about it. What's the most epic movie that was such a bad number 2 that it makes you kind of upset about number 1? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah, it takes away from number 1.
Yeah. Like I can't think of one right now, but like I don't know. Hangover 2 was not. Or Hangover 3 was terrible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
they're out there.
Like a
sequels
like
usually suck.
Dumb and Dumber took 20 years to make a sequel for that reason.
Dumb and Dumber, I went in thinking, for the second one, I'm not going to like this. And I did not stop laughing the entire time.
I haven't seen it.
It's all about expectations.
Yeah.
Isn't it Dumber and Dumberer?
Whatever. The second Dumb and Dumber. I thought, I can't believe we're going to see this.
Do you think when they made Dumb and Dumber, do you think everybody was going, this is the worst movie of all time?
Oh, dude, you should hear Jeff Daniels talk about it.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Because it had to be the biggest surprise that it caught fire like that. I mean,
it was a cult classic, but then it was like a household movie.
Really good one from Nate, the producer, doing some work here. Jaws 2.
So there's a Jaws 2.
There's like there's at least 3 of them, I think.
Yeah.
All of the police academies.
Yeah, police academies. Like there's just
Whoa.
There's movies that go down for being like a franchise, and it takes away from the. You know what? Pirates of the Caribbean could be this.
I feel like a police academy is in a different. It's a different category. Like Jaws was like revolutionary.
Yeah, exactly.
Police Academy is just a stupid, funny movie.
I don't think Jaws 2 takes away from Jaws 1, mostly because I didn't even know there was a Jaws 2. So I'm pretty sure Jaws 1.
But if you watch Jaws 2, you're like, wow, that's a way to go.
You know what is phenomenal? Paddington 2.
Dude,
Paddington's
it's
in
79 cents to rent on Prime right now. It's 79 cents. It's amazing.
That guy can.
Free if you
that guy
buy
can
it,
direct,
and then it's just
it's
evergreen.
free if you buy it.
Yeah, girl math. You buy it once, and then it's free forever.
I can watch it 12 times, and I still spent less money than you
man,
guys.
I got in a package deal, $4.99. We're totally gonna see Paddington in Peru.
Oh,
like that comes out soon. It was delayed.
Yeah,
it was supposed
it's
to come
very
out around
soon.
Christmas.
This is Paddington 3, technically.
Yeah,
Paddington,
and it's got the new girl in it. So
Girls love
the
it.
chick from Newsroom, who I love, and I love Newsroom. She's now the mom.
Wait, Olivia?
No.
Oh,
The one that plays Mac.
got it. Okay.
you know, I played Paddington once.
Of course you did.
Yep.
Were you the bear?
Yep. Second grade.
I was a little upset when I found out his hat is a women's hat.
Second grade. I was Paddington.
Why were you upset about that?
I just put it all together like homeboy's wearing a women's hat. It's kind of weird.
It's a bear hat.
I thought it was like one of those sailing hats that you would. It's a bear hat. It's a bear hat.
What are we talking about? Is this Barbie?
Godfather 2.
Godfather. Okay, can I
2.
give us? This is a quote, but it really made me think.
Quotes fit. So here's what I found. Quotes are actually used during the What Made Us Think, but the ones that are standalone quotes are the only ones I'll share again for quotes.
This just really, really made me think,
Yeah.
and I think it's a good jumping off point. But he says, fame, as my friend Heathcote Williams said, is the perversion of the natural human instinct for validation and attention. And that one really made me think, especially with us doing the Anxious Generation book, you know? And we didn't do that, but Brett, I was looking at Brett when I said that. Because that's literally, we talked about the social network. That's literally what all these social media apps do, is they play on that basic human instinct for that. So now everybody can be quote unquote famous just based on how many likes you have or how many times something gets shared.
You can be
or
famous
whatever.
within your own bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I thought about it while we were reading that book. There's times when I'll put something on our group chat for our LXG group chat, and I'll put something that I think is pretty funny, like a funny comment or something, and I will be checking back to see who liked it or laughed
Dude,
at it.
so this is our fantasy football group chat. I will care more about, like, there's 12 other guys on that group chat. I would care more about but I like 10 likes on that group chat is better to me than 300 likes on Instagram or Facebook. 100%.
Oh yeah.
Those are the ones those ones I care about.
Yeah, I don't really care about the social media stuff other than the cover social media. Like that one I really care about. But my personal ones I don't
Here's
care.
what's crazy. By the time this episode will drop Wednesday.
Yeah.
By the time this episode drops, we might be viral.
Yeah.
We got it.
Probably.
Oh, because of
killer. We got a killer video dropping. We got a killer video dropping. He talks about Godfather 2 going into kind of a trance to play Michael Corleone during Godfather 2. Said he cut himself off from everybody because of it. He was literally feeling what Michael Corleone was feeling when his brother tries to... I haven't seen Godfather 2, but apparently his brother tries to off him.
Fredo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Fredo, Vegas guy.
Mm-hmm.
Does he know?
Wait, so you've not seen Godfather 2?
You've not seen
No.
Godfather 2?
Nope.
Maybe we should just do that
So
one.
Fredo goes to Vegas in Godfather 1?
Yep.
Mm.
Yep.
Yeah, Godfather 2 is better.
Oh, really?
No.
It's
They are. It's different.
they're right there. I
in
mean,
terms of it's good. It's just as good. You have to have Godfather 1 to have Godfather 2, but if you didn't, Godfather 2. So Godfather 2 tells the story of Vito.
yeah.
And
That's where De Niro
Robert
comes
De
in.
Niro plays him, and he's still.
no way!
Which
So
is,
that's why.
which
That's
is the
why.
fun
Like
fact.
they didn't
because
even
they never met
meet.
each other.
They didn't even meet
Because they were
They
different.
did all the filming separately because it was like,
What?
30, 40 years apart.
Yeah.
So even on set, they never met each other.
No way! I gotta see it now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna download it.
You
watch
have
on
to
the
see
flight.
it anyway.
They,
I mean,
they worked on so many movies and weren't in any scenes together until finally they were in a scene together for Heat.
Yeah.
That's a crazy
They
fun
did the
fact.
movie Heat together.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the thing is that like Godfather 2 is every bit as good as Godfather 1.
So what did you guys? So since you guys have seen Godfather 2, when he talks about going to this Michael Corleone trance, like literally, like it sounded like it was one of the darkest phases of his life. Do you feel like watching Godfather 2, you can look back and you can go, oh, I can see that?
Well, dude, the characters, once you become a gangbanger and you find out someone in your family has been turned, you're just a paranoid freak. Just like Scarface. Like he plays these paranoid gangbangers.
Really well. Yeah.
And in the first one, he's the one that killed everybody and became top dog. He's like, oh, shoot. Now I got the target on my back. So that's what Godfather 2 is all about. And yeah, I mean, Fredo's the epitome of Judas.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We got Dog Day Afternoon after that, which I have not seen. Have you guys seen? Dog Day Afternoon? Man.
You
Surprise,
got to
surprise.
see that. Too.
It's a really interesting movie. It's a very is it based on a true story?
Yes.
It's based on a true story.
Yeah.
It's basically a guy who's a guy who's married.
He's
and,
married,
and
yeah.
lives a regular life, but is having an affair with a trans man. Goes crazy and holds hostages in a bank heist, and it's like the whole movie. The whole movie is
the
the
whole
bank
movie
heist.
is the afternoon,
And it's
of
a
this
true
bank heist.
story.
And when you say trans man, that's a woman who...
It's a man who thinks he's a woman.
Got it. Trans man. Got it.
Did you see that Trump? This is great.
Yeah. Official.
Trump made all government employees
By EOD
remove-
Friday. Yeah.
Yeah, remove their pronouns on emails.
Oh, really?
It's an official order.
Interesting.
Yeah, you guys want to talk about politics?
Oh, we're gonna get there. I think.
The quote I had from Dog Day Afternoon, he's reading, I don't know what it was after Godfather 2, but he was messed up in the head, and he would not do this movie. He would not do Dog Day Afternoon. And Marty his agent? Marty was
Sheen?
no.
Oh yeah, I couldn't figure out who Marty was either.
He had three key players in his life: one for stage, one for Hollywood, and one for something else.
Who was that last guy, Mangus? The Marty he keeps referencing is like Marty wanted this, Marty did that. Like,
I think Marty is his agent.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
probably still his agent.
he calls Marty and says, "Why am I not doing this film?" After he finally reads the script, and Marty's like, "That's all I needed to hear." Why didn't he want to do this film? So what was the stage in his life that he was in that he was just
Which
not-
film?
I think
Sorry. Dog Day Afternoon.
I think it was the subject matter. I think it was
Really?
weird. Yeah.
Okay, but he wasn't looking into it. He wasn't reading the script.
There was
because
a
of it.
really
He hadn't read it yet, right? Once he read it.
Once he read it, he was all in.
but he knew the
Yeah.
key points, and he was like, "Why on earth?"
Got it.
Like,
Well, and then they all produced it together too. You know, and
kind of like Nate produces this show.
and they brought Fredo in there, and he's in that movie
Fredo.
also. But their
Schrader.
relationship is very different, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
he jumps around a lot. So he goes around all that. Then he tells the story to kick off Scarface, but doesn't tell all the Scarface story. But his story to kick off Scarface, where the machine gun gets fused to his hand.
Yes.
How wild is that? Can you imagine?
So he touched on day one of filming, right?
Yes.
On
They
day-
literally had to stop
They
filming
had to
for
stop
3 weeks.
filming for 3 weeks because on day one
2
he
weeks,
touched the barrel of the gun.
He just picked it up.
Just picked it up.
Grabs it.
So this girl thought
Say hello to my oh!
this nurse in
It's
the
like his skin melted.
I believe they finished filming the scene, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Hey, I can't."
So they left the cut in. That would be interesting if they left that cut in.
I don't know that.
I would have
answer,
to
but-
watch it again to know.
Yeah.
So he goes into the
Do you guys know
hospital.
Leo did that?
Leo did what?
In
He touched the barrel of a gun.
No, but similar story in Django Unchained.
Broke the glass.
Where he breaks the glass
yes.
and his hand is
That's
bleeding,
so
and then he
cool.
rubs his hand on her face.
Yeah, that was all
And
improv.
That was all improv.
That's awesome.
Didn't he win an award? Or he got nominated for that.
Dude, that movie's so good.
So I'm looking
haven't
it
seen
up,
that
and
either.
I'm pretty sure
You've
that.
not seen Django Unchained?
Nope.
Oh, it's very good.
Gosh, Brett.
No, this is great.
I
This is
feel
why
like
we
that's-
have a show.
I
This
feel
is
like
why we have a
It
podcast.
is basically. You're
to
right.
educate
We're
Brett
30
on
some
movies.
in.
So we should do Godfather 2, not Godfather.
And Inglourious Bastards.
And and Django
Love that
Unchained.
movie.
Kelsey turns to me and she goes, "Are you gonna ever do a movie that I have seen?"
Nope. Well,
Yeah,
Barbie.
the next one.
We're
She's
gonna do
definitely
I feel
Barbie.
like The Patriot. She should have.
Oh, she's seen all these.
Yeah.
She's just saying that we're definitely going down a guy movie niche, and I'm like, prove it.
So?
and then,
Well,
and then
listening
she
next
proved
week
it.
will be good. Will be good.
So
I didn't say we're gonna like
the
it.
only Oscar that he's actually ever won. Do you remember the role?
You're talking about Leo?
And this is based on IMDb. Is this true? Nate,
Leo
can you
or
verify
Pacino?
that he's only
Are we talking about
one
Leo
Oscar?
or Pacino right now?
Pacino.
it was for he's the blind guy. Yeah. Scent of a Woman.
Scent of a Woman.
Scent of a Woman.
Which is another movie that is extremely slow and very powerful.
Yeah.
And it's an incredible role.
So
He's-
is Sensible
Well,
Woman
that's
the
just-
one
it's
with the?
classic.
You've seen Scent of a Woman?
Yeah, it's kind of classic.
I'm shocked
Pacino.
that you've seen some of these movies.
Is that the
was this
one-
when you watched? Like, did you really go down a deep, dark movie? Like, that's not a movie I would
Is
expect you to
Sensible
watch.
Woman the one where he
I
says
just
there's a
there's
pretty
certain
epic
actors
sex
where
scene?
if I see that they do it.
I don't think there's a sex scene in Scent of a Woman. Not that I remember. No, Scent of a Woman. He's blind.
yeah.
And the
Sea of Love
military
is what
guy.
I'm thinking of.
I have not seen that.
No.
But Scent of a Woman, really cool scene. He wants to drive.
Is it Scent of a Woman because he's blind, so he can
Yes.
only smell her?
Correct. Basically. Wait, Brett, calm down over there,
Makes
Bullet Boy.
sense, Brett.
Brett is losing it right now. That's the title.
Just so you guys know, we're doing a double recording tonight. So the next episode you listen to,
Yeah, get ready.
yeah,
But the coolest part in that movie is he drives a Ferrari down the streets of New York
as a blind guy,
as a blind guy.
Yeah.
He basically he's like, I really want to, before I die, I want to drive a Ferrari.
that's awesome.
And so someone sits next to him and tells him he's going. It's crazy. It's a
It is crazy.
Crazy scene.
And then, he's like, "Oh, you guys broke my streak." When he goes up there to accept it, very, very Leo-esque, right? I just mentioned Leo. It was very Leo-esque. Is that it took forever? All these different nominations.
yeah.
This is his 7th time he'd been nominated for Best Actor, I think.
Yeah, and only won one.
Yeah.
Is that verified, Nate? Only one Oscar, one Oscar win.
He might. Did he win for Irishman? He's really good in Irishman.
Well,
I've
that's
seen
a
Irishman.
supporting
It's a
role because he
very
plays
old,
Jimmy.
Very long movie as well. Remember, I have seen that.
And then he's got the famous speech in Any Given Sunday, which wasn't mentioned at all in this book.
No, he's
he
just a
did-
nom. So again, once again, a nominee. In
Did he
Best
mention Any Given
Performance.
Sunday? Was he the coach?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's not a like a big hit movie
No, but
because it's on
that's a
sports
really
betting. It's
famous,
got McConaughey.
It's a really famous speech.
Oh, that's two
though.
for the money.
When Any Given Sunday came out, it was a big deal.
What is Any Given Sunday?
It's the one where
It's like
the
Cuba Gooding Jr. and
he's the coach.
Show Me the Money?
no,
No,
that's
Jerry Maguire.
that's why I question myself. Is Cuba Gooding Jr. and Jerry Maguire?
Are they portraying an NFL team? What are they portraying?
I don't.
Oh, he's
remember.
a coach.
Yeah, he's the coach.
It's,
Okay.
It's
a great clip.
It's the game of inches. It's the game of inches speech.
And you
Story
got
of
to
my
be willing to fight and claw. It's a great push week video. It's an amazing.
awesome
Give it all you
push
got,
week.
Brock. That one.
It would be played.
We're
at the
devolving.
same time.
We're devolving.
But during Scarface, he shares
up,
this
Brock.
quote.
You're in the end zone.
Is that our next movie? Is that facing the
We
Giants?
can't do facing the Giants.
Is
Or is that a Green Giant?
It's called Facing the Giants.
What's that soccer movie with the giant,
cry
the little
Facing
giant?
the Giants every time. Big Green Machine.
Big Green Machine.
Yeah, or Green Machine or something like that.
I don't think that's what it is.
The kid soccer movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember Heavyweights?
Yes.
Big Green.
I'm going down a rabbit
Big
hole in my
Green.
mind with all these movies. The Big Green.
The Big Green.
Yes,
All right, hey,
the
we
Big
gotta get to gems and quotes still too. He has a quote
trying to
during
keep us on
Scarface.
track.
He has a quote during Scarface that I genuinely believed growing up, without a doubt. First you get the money, then you get the power, then you get the woman. He said that was as American as the flag. I really believed that growing up.
Well, it's true. That is true.
Now I don't think that's true. But I think
For the
that-
girl, are you trying to get the path to the girl?
I think that
Depends on
that-
what girl you're trying to get.
That's what Brett cared about.
those are the three. I genuinely, that's all I care
First you get the
about.
money, then you get the power, then you get the girl. And
Yeah.
you're just saying that you don't have to have money and power to get the girl anymore? Because
Pacino is saying
that's what you did?
that was as American as the flag. And I think that that's sad that so many people, like including myself, like that is all we were concerned with is those three things.
So again, I guess I'm misinterpreting what you're saying when you thought that was like you're saying like that's what a lot of people believe.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well,
For
because
sure.
Scarface was a comment on
Yes.
America at
Yes.
the time.
It is interesting that Scarface is like a cautionary tale because it's like, how bad do you want it? It's like everyone wants Scarface until he dies. Like I want the rise to power.
It does
I want
seem
the
very
money.
cool. I mean, it seems like a very cool.
I wouldn't get addicted to cocaine. I would just have all the fame and money, and
Yeah.
and I wouldn't have all the enemies.
Hearing about all his prep that he put in to Scarface, he did meetings with makeup and nutritionists months before the movie started filming to get it right. He was on a diet, deciding where his scar would be on his face. He had a dialect coach. It just really makes me respect, like, when I think we can watch some actors and be like, oh, dude, how easy is that job? Like, holy cow. We're talking about months and months and months of work and prep so he could nail this role. Like, it just really made me respect.
That's
And
why
that's
Heath
very
Ledger. That's why
common.
Heath Ledger died.
yeah.
That's literally why Heath Ledger died. He would get himself and put himself alone in his whatever.
Did you guys know Scarface was a flop at first? I did not know that.
I did not know
book.
that, and I also forgot that it was a remake.
I did not know it was a remake.
I did not remember that it was a remake. I knew that it took a while to take off.
Man, how
It
scary
was not
would that be?
accepted. It was like a bloodbath. Like people didn't.
Yeah.
People
because
walked out.
It,
They walked out of the
I mean,
opening.
it's pretty jarring.
Oh yeah, but like also, isn't that why people go to watch it now? So it was like a cult following.
Well, that's why it became. I mean, his biggest movie. What?
Not based on
Godfather is-
IMDb. It is his biggest role ever. Scarface is his biggest role.
Yeah,
For sure.
Tony Montana is what you think of for sure.
Tony Montana. Say hello to my little friend.
What'd you guys
Say
think of him?
hello to my little friend.
He gets really deep into working on his own film for a while and like perfects it. And everybody that is his colleague loves it and says, never show this to the public because they won't get it. So then he never releases it. He like works on this for years and like loves it and goes broke doing it.
And so it's vaulted.
Yeah, it never gets released. Yeah, he said
Totally forgot about that.
people would show up with the expectation of who Pacino is now. There's another quote I wrote down that was, what was it? You want to have a hit movie, put Pacino on the poster with a gun in his hand.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like got this image. It just the fact that those are the movies that blew him up and he's such an artsy like lover of what acting is just still blows my mind. Did not see it coming at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the most shocking thing to me. I did not expect to be. Now, part of me was like, okay, he is old, so. But I mean, the granddad, the grandpa narration and the writing of this, I didn't know until.
It's just so weird that he's such a bad writer. Like that's weird to me. He reads voraciously.
Well, he's probably better
got
at writing
such
a script.
an eye for things.
Well, he's probably better at writing a script. This is like a memoir.
It
is
kind of
completely
reads like a
different.
script. I mean, it's just
It does.
It
That's why I said I couldn't tell like if he was reading it or just like veering off telling the story when he was actually physically reading it on the Audible.
You know, it kind of makes me wonder if Sylvester Stallone had a memoirs, what it would be like, because he wrote Rocky, right? But if they show parts of his script, it's literally like ideas on a napkin most of the script. Wondering if it would be similar.
So you're saying the script was originally like this dude's super broke and he makes it as a boxer.
or like
it's not
the
an
scene,
actual. It's not lines.
Yeah, there's no lines. It didn't.
Dude,
look,
you can totally tell when you watch Rocky that they did not write lines. If that's true,
he just has these ideas.
It's like, okay, oh, did you say this, Adrian?
No studio would buy it. Like it's crazy. So I bet his would be.
It's just so interesting though because he loves careful words and getting things right and doing things the right way.
Yep.
I mean, one of the quotes that I wrote down was words can make you fly. And I don't know, I'm being a little critical, maybe because I like him so much, honestly. Like you have a higher
standard.
I can't believe how many of his movies you've seen.
Yeah, I don't know if it's most, but
so back to you never answered my question. When did you watch all these movies? Like, is this the college?
Like, no, I mean,
so you like really watch?
I like Pacino.
I know, but like you watch some deep tracks too. Like I just didn't know that about you.
Marcus always been a movie guy though.
Yeah.
Watch
deep track movies. I love
deep track. I don't know what a deep track movie is.
A deep track movie is like a movie that no one's seen. You've seen it because you like Pacino, so you saw some of his earlier work that no one's seen.
Yeah. Well, what'll happen is I'm like looking at Prime Video or Netflix or something, and I'm like, oh, Pacino's in this.
Marcus is also
his. So this is all recent. This wasn't Blockbuster days.
Marcus's willingness to start a movie at midnight he has a higher threshold.
That's true. I probably have a pretty high threshold. For
so you're in bed and Jessica's asleep, and that's when you watch these movies.
Well, usually it would be more like she's asleep and I'm still awake. And then I'll just watch a movie.
So then, exactly what I just said.
Yeah,
we don't have a TV in our room.
So you leave her.
Dude, great call by the way. Godfather 3, have you both seen?
Yeah, so that you leave the bed to watch the movie.
Have both of you seen Godfather 3?
Has happened.
You watched it on your phone?
Huh?
Do you watch movies on your phone?
I've done that a couple of times, but not very often.
Kelsey calls it my second life when she falls asleep and I watch a movie.
You are Riley.
She's like, when did you watch this movie?
Riley has headphones on her nightstand. Ready to go. By the way,
That's
thank
really
you. By
funny.
the way,
if you've ever like traveled with Brett or anything else, like he hates rooming with me because I'll just keep him awake.
Because you keep talking.
Yeah, just keep talking. He's like, dude, I need my sleep.
The other night, I'm like, I can feel it. I'm like, yes, I'm about to fall asleep. Riley taps me. I'm like. I was so close.
That's the worst.
She goes, no, listen. She goes, no, don't worry about it. I'm like, I was so close, but I'm up now. What? She's like, do you think I should get... She shows me her phone.
Oh,
this dress or this dress? I said, here's what makes you mad. You're not going to pick what I say anyway. You're not going to pick. And then the next morning, I'm like, so which one did you get? She goes, I didn't buy either of them.
Oh, no.
Dude, there is a probably a 5 to 10 minute period of time where I'm in an almost sleep, and if you wake me up during that time, I'm done. I'm awake the rest of the night.
Oh, that's the worst.
What is that?
By the way, I
have
ruined Remington's day by texting too early before.
Oh,
yeah, I have, and
the most passive aggressive text I've ever received from Brett Wiggins was like 10 years ago. It changed my life though. It really did. He goes, "Oh, I just assumed everyone put their phone on Do Not Disturb."
No. I said everyone turned off their ringer.
Yeah.
When you would go to bed, that just makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hadn't up to that point. Changed my world. Because now I put Do Not Disturb when I'm just going to the bathroom. Like I just don't want all the time.
Godfather 3, have you both seen it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so he talks about the ending having to be changed because they couldn't get Duvall to agree to do the movie. He said the original ending was beautiful. How many of those stories exist that we don't even know about?
A lot.
Yeah.
I would love to read a book about those stories.
How many movies don't get made because one person didn't come back?
Yeah. There's a lot of great scripts. Gladwell did a podcast over best scripts never made for whatever reason. Somebody can't make it happen.
Or somebody owns it.
Yes. Yeah. Hold on to it.
They can't sell.
Yep.
So we've talked about this echo chamber that we're in. So we're filming and our phones are in front of us. And you know who listens to the Cover Podcast is Meta.
Yeah, dude.
Because they give us all these fun facts after we do a show. But like, I think it's really interesting to find out like this whole Devil in the White City thing, this Devil in the White City project. By the way, Sundance is right now. Sundance is happening right now.
Okay, next year.
Next year, we're going to film
Come on.
this episode at Sundance.
The question is,
where does
like,
Sundance happen?
Park
which
City,
of
Utah.
us, which of the three of us is most likely to create the plan?
I'll do it right now. I'll do it right now. We'll plan for it next year.
I'm ready. So it's end of January every year.
And then when are we going to France?
To
Well,
Cannes.
we gotta.
So this is the
Cannes.
book.
I
This
do
is the
think-
book. It said Cannes
I do think that we should do Sundance first.
because it's on U.S. soil
Yeah,
and it's easier.
yeah.
And you want to go to see the Mormons?
I love the Mormons.
Yeah, me too.
Love them.
All right, done.
I will say, very beautiful buildings.
We'll relaunch
Did
Educated.
not think you were going to say buildings.
Any additional thoughts before we get into quotes?
Nope.
Dude, he was spending $3,000 to $4,000 a month at a time while living in LA. $300,000 to $400,000 a month.
Yeah, I thought you said 3,000 to 4,000. I was
I
like,
may
you
have.
did.
I may have.
I was like,
$300,000 to $400,000 a month. Crazy. $50 million to zero.
Whoa. Like on what? What do you even spend $3,000 on in a month?
How much is this coat?
This guy. Brett just got back from Singapore. He's going to China next week.
Oh man! All right, let's get
he's
into.
leaving tomorrow morning.
Where are you going?
Boca Raton.
Oh, can't even spell that. Don't even know where it is.
Beautiful.
BOCA.
Is that Louisiana?
Yes.
Shut up.
Pretty sure it is.
We almost got in at. Is it Doral?
Doral.
Like bucket list course for a lot of people. Trump owns it now, but got a friend that's
Donald Trump?
Donald Trump. Got a friend that's liberal, so I didn't want to push it too hard.
What? You have a liberal friend?
Dude, they come out of nowhere sometimes. They come out of nowhere sometimes.
Oh, man.
All right. Let's get into quotes. I will say, to end what made us think, before I knew Christ, I definitely viewed my life the way that Pacino viewed his childhood as like paradise. Like my childhood, I felt like it was the best. Pacino talks about how it's never going to get as good as his childhood. He talks about dying, quote unquote, and nothing happens.
Now, is that before tragedy hit your family and you lost your mom? Or is it just
No,
like all the
even-
way through high school, you were just like, I want
This
to
is
always
the
be a
best.
kid?
Yeah,
I
this
felt
is-
the same way. I had
yeah.
a friend who turned 21. You know him, Kyle Hodson. And he cried that day and stayed in bed all day.
What?
Because he thought his life was over. It's like, I wanted to be a kid. In 21, I'm now an adult, and this sucks.
Well,
And he was seriously depressed.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
just to be clear, I didn't do that. But
I wasn't lumping you in, but
yeah.
I just get it because I also thought not. I feel like just all the parents kept talking about like their glory days, and so I felt like that put like this pressure on me to have my best life as a kid. And I had a great childhood, and I really enjoyed it. And I'm an optimist, so I only remember the good parts. Adulthood is way better.
So much better.
Oh my gosh!
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like
we like. I'm
not
trying
even
to.
close.
I'm trying to like promote adulthood
Yeah.
to my kids,
Dude,
Like,
yeah.
I want you to want to
be
be
a kid, but get ready because it's gonna be
so
awesome.
much better.
We had a meeting the other day where we were talking about rites of passage.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So
exactly.
What's the right like? What do you mean?
Like,
what are
just-
certain rites of passage?
So he talked about like things in adulthood you get to do you can't do as a kid. I think rites of passage create this want to, okay, I need to mature, I need to be ready for blank. So
You're like looking forward
Watching
to that
Matrix
next
with
step.
Reed.
Yeah, exactly.
dude, yeah.
He
Like,
gets to stay up later than everybody else, and we're watching and we're using
That's
that extra
so
hours.
cool.
We're using that extra hour to do things like watch movies.
So I'll give an
that
example
the other
that
kids
actually
can't see.
had
That's
a cool benefit for Rose. So at our school, we have a Kindy 500 where all the kindergartners race their bikes around this track. Now, some kids have training wheels, some kids have a scooter because whatever. Rose this summer was more dedicated to learning how to ride her bike without training wheels than I've ever seen her dedicated to anything else in my entire
remember.
life. because she's like, I can't have training wheels for the Kindy 500. Like
No
that.
way.
That's what when I think of rite of passage, like that's
cool.
That's the thing that actually matters in the benefit to it.
Like they should want to get their driver's license. Like,
yes,
like
the
it's
amount of
crazy
kids today that don't want their driver's license. It's weird.
There was a really interesting.
Weird.
Rogan has a lot of interesting takes when he has some of these guests on, and he's not afraid to just straight up say, "I don't think that's true."
Yeah.
And one of the guests said, "When you're a kid, you just need to be a kid." And Rogan's like, "No, I think that's soft. I think they need to be striving to be great immediately, all the time." And there's a level to that. Like there's some parents that spend too much money and go crazy on the baseball field. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about kids having the desire to get better and grow is necessary.
Or just be passionate about something.
Yeah. Don't just be a kid. No. Like, what are you working towards? What are you working on right now? What are you passionate about? What do you like?
Dang it! What episode was that? I listened to it too. I remember
Rogan.
Yes, I remember that exact episode.
I actually think it was Wes. I think it was on Wes's episode.
Oh,
Wes,
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Because Wes is
what I liked
and by
about
the way,
that,
I think Wes probably believes that too. He was just trying.
What
to
I
find
like about
common
it was
ground.
it snapped Wes into his real self versus I want to get Rogan on my side.
Yeah.
I want to. It really was helpful. I think.
Yeah, I agree. Even people there with like I believe something different than Joe come in with I got to be careful about how I say this. He's like,
This
"No, man,
quote
just-
works. This quote works with what you guys
Dude.
are talking about. How come you made it and I didn't?
Oh, this is a good one.
I always wanted to. And he says, I would tell them, you wanted to. I had to.
Which was the truth. He literally sold out for it. This is his friend in I think
was born in it.
I think probably it's probably middle school. He looks at Al and goes, talking about one of their teachers. I'm going to feel her breasts.
Oh, yeah. That whole story is so
That story's
funny.
hilarious.
I can't imagine. So that's what your childhood was like?
Yes, 100%.
So they're sitting in class and he gets expelled for saying that or doing
No,
it.
he does it.
He's like, I'm gonna go up there and I'm gonna. Then what happens is he has
Not
something
Al
she
Pacino,
wants.
his friend.
Right.
The friend has something the teacher wants, so she's like trying to grab it from him, and then at the perfect second, he
They
just
basically get in a wrestling match, and then he looks over at Al Pacino and grabs her breasts.
How old is he? Like
and
eight?
Pacino,
8, 9, 10.
Pacino apparently just laughs, and so he also gets
in trouble as well.
Yeah.
This was him talking about some family that was famous for tightrope walking, and when asked if they would ever do it again, he goes, "Yeah, life's on the wire. The rest is just waiting," because they fell.
Mm-hmm. This is actually a quote from Othello. He's a huge Shakespeare guy.
Yep.
Reputation is an idle and most false imposition, oft got without merit and lost without deserving. You have no reputation at all, unless you repute yourself such a loser.
Here's an interesting
I read
one.
that and I was like, I gotta read more Shakespeare this year.
Yeah. It definitely makes me want to read more classics.
Well, the lady cried. Finding Richard, I think, is the Shakespeare. I don't know,
Documentary
play
thing
or-
that he did.
But she cried. She's like, she had studied Shakespeare her whole entire life. She's like, you're the first person to help me understand Shakespeare. He's that good at it.
I don't like the idea of being put on a pedestal. I didn't ask for it. I wanted to be an actor, not a symbol. And I think there was a time where like there wasn't a pedestal for actors. In fact, people didn't like actors. Like if you go all the way back to the assassination of Lincoln, that dude was a political activist and people hated actors. Like be an actor, stay on stage, but we're not going to like glorify you.
Yep.
And then there was like a change that happened, especially with films.
Yep. Another quote about actors. He goes, "We even accuse them of narcissism, the new operative word. How foul. Are you saying people with self-interest are narcissists? Give me a break. We all fit that description." There definitely is a immediate assumption of many actors, for sure.
What do you guys think about this? There's no formula for success. The real secret is failure, getting up after you fall and trying again. I mean, I agree with what he's saying.
Say it one more time.
There's no formula to success. The real secret is failure, getting up after you fall.
that is the formula, though.
I think that's a cliche.
That is the formula.
pretty
I think that's a cliche. I think that's wrong. I think I learned from other people's failures. I don't have to fail.
Well, you are
failed
going
and
to
I'm
fail,
watching
though.
it. Huh?
I mean,
I think that's just a cliche way of saying you're going to fail along the way, but I think there is a formula to success. In fact, I know there is.
Yeah, but
and it's okay. By the way, it's okay if it's a cliche, but it is definitely a cliche. That's not true.
Well, it's for
what
sure.
He's saying is not true.
Well,
it's like a
cliches can be true.
I understand, but what I'm saying is like he's saying this phrase. It is cliche because everyone says it. But if you really, literally,
you're really a success if you get up one more time than you fall down.
Yeah, if you literally dissect it, the phrase is not true. You can have a formula to success, and not everyone who gets up after falling is successful.
Maybe you're just focusing on the wrong.
See,
part of the quote.
I saw it as if you're gonna be successful, you will fail along the way.
Sure, which is again where I'm like, okay, cool. Like it's a fun little phrase you say that's a cliche, but if we were really digging in,
I think he's saying there's not a formula for success.
Like an
there's
overarching
many different ways that you could achieve success. One thing that's for sure true is that you're going to fail along the way.
Yeah, I think it's that old it's not a meme, but the picture of like what
he
people
says
think
there's no formula to success is the quote, by the way.
I think I agree more with that than there is a formula to success.
Okay.
You don't think that if we lined up all the successful people, there's a common theme between them all?
Yes, the common theme will be there
are common themes.
They all had different routes, different circumstances. I don't think for
but
any of them.
They were disciplined. They
but I don't
were
think
ambitious.
But I don't think that's the point. I think the point is that none of them, it went the way they thought it was going to go perfectly. I think that's the point of his quote.
Didn't say that. That's not the quote. If that's what you mean, say that.
You sound like Marcus, right?
I do sound like Marcus Mangus.
Now I realized as I looked at Norman's father, that was a parent's love, a father's love for his child. There was a depth to that kind of love, and I was seeing it right in front of my face. I would come to know it myself later in life. So two parts here.
Yep.
Number one, there is a depth to that love, that father's love, that parent's love for their child. So I thought that was cool. Second thing is this is like one of the only times you see him talk about his kids and the difference that they make in his life. And that just bugged me. I mentioned it earlier, but that bugged me.
Totally. It'd be trying to write a memoirs without talking about your faith or your family, which is what he did. He wrote a memoir without talking about faith or family, which are the only two things that the three of us actually care about.
Huh. Yeah, it almost makes it not a memoir. It almost makes it a professional.
No, it is a memoir. He just doesn't have faith or family.
Yeah.
You're trying to like help him out.
No.
This is what he
is
thinks
the
is
acting.
important. Yeah.
But it almost like it
That's
makes
his purpose.
It's like a historical review of his professional career because that's all he cared about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Every day above ground is a good day.
Ugh, these are just depressing me.
I'll end on this
The
one.
book was not this depressing.
Yes,
I mean,
it was.
Here's a beautiful
What
quote.
I'm saying is it didn't play like it's not like depressing while you're reading it. You just get to the end and you're like, oh, that was depressing.
I thought this was great. For me, work has always been life, to your point. Something that opens the door, allows the spirit to come out. A world I can visit where the imagination is switched on, and life becomes once again what it once was. Discovery, delight, ecstasy. So he clearly had his work, and that's all he cared about. But he's really good at it. He's really, really good at it. Cared about it a lot. Hidden gems.
He was voted most likely to succeed, but he was disappointed because he wanted to win most handsome.
Yes. And superlatives. Dude, this was crazy. Diane Keaton started making a documentary about his grandmother while they were dating. Mm-hmm. This lady was so interesting. She started making a documentary about her. Nuts.
I didn't realize the love affair between him and Diane Keaton.
I didn't know
that.
I think that's very common in Hollywood, where you have relationships that are like while you're filming, and people are like they're super flirty, but really they're in love.
Well, I think you have to take yourself to that place with that character,
right?
And to develop the right kind of chemistry, like there's got to be like, there's lines that get
That's
crossed.
why the I was re-listening to It's a Wonderful Life and talking about that tension scene between Jimmy Stewart and what's her face
by the record player.
Yeah, on the phone.
Yep.
And I just started thinking about it. I was like, wow, what an epic scene.
Yeah.
Like he said it's the opportunity of a lifetime.
They're just getting closer and closer. He's smelling her hair. He's in a terrible headspace. He doesn't want to love her, and he can't stop.
I don't care about plastics. I don't want. Yeah, man. Just gives in.
It's so moving.
It is. It is.
He
The way
goes
they
almost
neck,
as-
though, is weird.
The way they
way
kiss.
They're necking.
They're
No, the way they
necking.
neck is.
Oh, do they not kiss?
They do kiss, kind of,
And
but
then they just rub
but
each
it's
other's
like
necks.
no,
like
the,
giraffes.
The neck. He's grabbing her hair and just necking. Yeah, it's an intense.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. I think.
Go home and try that one.
I think.
Kels,
He almost went his whole life without seeing Godfather. I thought that was a hidden gem.
without seeing it.
Without seeing
Yeah,
it.
Hey,
and
you know
he saw
what?
it for an awards banquet or something. Like he saw it.
I'm like him. I don't need to watch my own work.
He watches his own work all the time, though.
Just not the
That's what's
Godfather.
crazy.
Mm-hmm.
He turned down Han Solo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I thought that was neat. They used to put. He said at one point they were filming, and where they were filming was so cold, but it was supposed to be warm outside. So you remember what they did?
They put ice in their mouth.
They put ice in their mouth so that you wouldn't have.
Dude, he said it's science. I think, is it because your mouth would then be colder?
Yeah.
Then that makes so much sense.
It's all about your head. It's
I
always
thought
in
that
your
was
head.
so cool.
No, not about in your head. It's so you wouldn't see your breath because your breath was colder.
I know.
Then what does that have to do with in your head?
It's a mental game.
But it wasn't so they weren't cold. It was so
No,
that you
yeah,
couldn't
it wasn't
see your
so they
breath
weren't
in the
cold. It was
movie.
so that they wouldn't see the breath. Like, so
Oh,
they
I
wouldn't
came in late to this
see-
conversation.
so they wouldn't see the breath.
That's so
Remington
funny.
listened to this book
I
a
was
long
literally
time
reading
ago.
this, and then I heard that. And I was like, oh, yeah. That makes sense.
Last one I had was
I was going to go
that
down it, too. I'm really glad we didn't do that.
the Oscars is basically a publicity contest.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
He said, go on Barbara Walters and they'll give you the Oscar.
Which we talked about.
And so he went on Barbara Walters and he got the Oscar. And if you watch, like right now, I was talking about Chalamet. He's freaking everywhere
Yeah.
right now. Why is he everywhere? Because he's trying to win the Oscar.
And you know what? He's up against that Jesse Eisenberg movie.
Yeah.
With the brothers, with Culkin?
Yeah.
I want to watch
And
it.
there's
Well,
also
I do too. I can't find it anywhere.
What's
It's
it
not
called?
It's
out yet.
on,
It's probably not out yet. It's
No.
probably coming out.
I
It's like
asked
in
Riley
a-
if
it's
she
in
wanted
a
to watch
theater.
it. No.
Oh, it's out?
I asked Riley if she
I
wanted
don't
to
think
watch
it's
it.
out.
She said no.
It's not out.
I think Gary Oldman
But
has been
what
winning.
made me say that is they're also campaigning. Like I'm watching
100%.
Justin Eisenberg on like the weirdest shows. I'm like,
yeah,
oh,
exactly,
they're trying to win an Oscar.
Exactly what they're trying to
Which
do.
they also
Yeah, he was just
actually
on
might
Sunday
do.
morning.
But
You see what I mean?
I guarantee you win that Oscar though. Like how much it costs for the next movie goes up. You know. So I
Oh,
get
sure.
it.
It's not just for
Do you think?
guys-
do you think
I
studios
just thinking
have
forward
them?
to the time when we're invited to these Oscar parties? That's
Do you
gonna
think
be crazy.
studios have them sign saying you will do the work to try to get an Oscar for this film?
I do think that
Yeah.
it has been in some, yes.
You can watch it right now on Disney Plus, gang.
All right, the only other hidden gem I have before we sign off here is I just thought it was so cool. It was like almost a scene when he was describing it, it was almost like a scene in my own head of this movie where he's talking about he's rooming with Martin Sheen and the people that came through that little tiny apartment just to hang out
Yeah.
were like Picasso and like it wasn't Picasso, but it was
His
like
bodyguard knew Picasso.
who
though.
were the people? Who were the people? Like it was like Bob Dylan.
It was who's who of that
It
generation.
was a who's who, but they weren't
of New York
But
at the
they
time.
weren't them yet though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were like just trying to make it in coffee shops and stuff. And he rattled off like 3 or 4 huge names
Yep.
that were just passing through just the little apartment.
Crazy.
It
Well,
wasn't
he also
Picasso,
talks
though.
about going at one point going over to L.A. to interview like potential directors.
Producer Nate is losing it because he doesn't even have to Google what year Picasso died. He just knows.
Interview-
knows
Do you know what
about
year
it.
Picasso died?
1837.
No.
Everybody knows that.
1973.
He was definitely.
Oh, sorry. That was his birth. My bad. I sorry. I remembered.
Picasso was alive in the
remembered.
70s.
which a lot of this stuff was happening. Yeah. Anyway, he actually, I thought that was cool when he goes over and he's like, he's basically name dropping because he says, "Yeah, I met with this upstart new director, Marty Scorsese."
Yeah,
And
exactly. Oh yeah,
I didn't
exactly.
see. I
These are
didn't
the
see.
kind of names
I
he's
didn't
dropping.
see much in him basically, so we didn't pick him to do the
Yep.
movie.
Yep, hindsight there, buddy.
Rating time 1 to 9. I guess you could give less than a 1. You might hear Marcus give less than a 1 next week. I'm
Why?
a
What did we do?
7.9.
Wow, you liked it a lot better than I did.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
What are you giving it, Megas?
5.2.
That's the lowest rating in cover history.
Yeah.
You did not enjoy this book. And I knew he didn't last week when I heard
Dude,
him.
the stories of Scarface and Godfather alone, I was not giving it less than a 7 for those.
So here's what I'll say. I gave it a 6.5, but I would read it one time.
Yeah.
So like if you're listening to the cover,
I would
like
listen
and
to
you're-
it one time.
If you're a Pacino fan, you got to read it. But
Yeah.
it is bad. It's not
You
written
got to
well.
listen to it.
And I
You
would
gotta
listen to it on 1.75 speed.
Yep, you can
you're
for
good.
sure. You won't miss anything either. We got Barbie next. Ryan Gosling, Margot Robbie. That's next week.
That Asian guy.
And I'll tell
He can do backflips.
I'll tell you right now, it's gonna be great. Might be our last episode, but it'll be great.
Hi, Barbie.